Hello, this is Kitty from Transgroom, and I'm here to talk all about dog grooming today. Today we have Luan. Luan is a Yorkshire Terrier. She's a puppy, she's 5 months old, and she's coming to get used to everything. So I'm gonna go quite slow with her. I'm gonna wash her very slow. I'm gonna get her used to all the brushing and the towel and the water and the shampoo and especially the dryer. So we're gonna go quite slow with her. So, before we start, I like to have everything by hand, so let's prepare everything and in advance make our shampoos and our conditioners and our towels and our brushes, and so when the dog is wet and cold, he has everything to be comfortable and to get dry very quickly. First of all, I'm going to use pure coat because Yorkshire Terriers, in between groomings, we make some oil to nurture the coat and to make sure the coat doesn't break off, but this all adds to the coat, it sticks to the coat, and then we have greasy ears. And I like to use the pure coat shampoo because this is a very good purifying shampoo. The pure coat purifying shampoo you have to dilute 1 time with water. It's quite thick, so I advise to use very warm water. And then for the second shampoo, we're going to use the Pro Brightening. The Pro Brightening is concentrated 1 to 15. So in the mixing bottle we first make warm water until the filling line 1 to 15, and as you can see there, and then after we put in the shampoo until the fill line, and then we don't really shake, but we make rounder gestures to get the shampoo very nice diluted with the water. So here you see we have everything. We have the shampoo, we have the conditioner, we have actually a sponge, we have the coat, the towels, and the magic towel. So we are ready actually to start the grooming. First of all, I like to always do ears and nails and paws and make sure when he comes out of the bath we can start drying. And sometimes dogs have like mats between the toes or have dirty ears, and I prefer to wash everything or to make sure everything is clear before we go into the bath. So here's Luan, ready to have his grooming. First of all, I'm gonna brush all over, and I like using a very soft pin brush. For me, a pin brush the pins have to be very flexible. When you go over with your finger, the pins really have to, lie down, and make sure if you use a pin brush that it's not a hard pin brush. Also the pins, each pin, it's very important that the pin is rounded at the top. And I like this pen brush also very much because each pin in the pad has a pocket with a rubber pocket, like a little box to it, and the pins can't sink in the pad. So for me this is one of my favorite pin brushes, and that's why I use it. Although it's big for this small dog, but I still like to use it very much. So here we go, brushing everywhere, making sure there's no mats. It's also nicer to dry when it's brushed before the dogs go into the bath. I didn't use any coat oil because there was coat oil being used before, but in normal circumstances before you brush you can use a little spray coat oil. A good one is the Showtech Moisturing Coat Oil hydrating spray for using between the shows or just at home. So I like to start with clipping out the little feet. As you can see, they're very tiny. Here I'm using the Amigo, and I'm using the shortest blade, 1 millimeter. So you just push the knob and you use the shortest as possible. I like to first go over the flat area of the pads, and then I really like to take the 2 outside fingers, push them backwards a bit so the pads open up, and then you can scoop out all the little hairs in between the pads. As you can see here, it's quite easy the dog is letting us do this. It's not, you know, it's not hurting. It's not, you know, this is also a machine, a clipper that doesn't vibrate very much. So it's quite easy to do it with this clipper. Here you see me taking the 2 fingers, but as the dog is very young and he's not really used to it, he's not letting me twist over like the 2 outside fingers. So well, it's okay too. If it doesn't work, just do the outside, and in the meantime the dog gets used to it. These are things, especially with puppies, you have to take your time, and it's not only about finishing perfectly, it's about just getting the dog used to this handling and the noise, and I think Luan is doing a very good job here. So now I'm gonna clip the genitals, and I've put my clipper on number 3, the highest or the longest available, not to have any irritations. I like this very clean, and I'm also gonna do a little bit at the anus, and I don't do very much, just around the anus, and it's enough, just a little bit. Sometimes it's difficult, you have to lift the hair and the tail, and it's making the noise, and the dog won't let you do it. Very easy, but take your time, and eventually everything's gonna be fine. So let's clip the little ears. If you clip little ears from little dogs, it's very important. First of all, you can use the shortest available blade on the Amigo clipper, so it's 1 millimeter. And then when you clip, it's very important, when you clip, you always use your finger at the back of the blade, so you are like guiding the blade, and you are like not pushing, but at the back of the ear you always have your finger at the back of the blade. Another thing which is very important when you are clipping the ears, that when you are clipping, let's say this is the clipper, you are going to the front and to the left and to the right, but never go that way, because when you go that way you might have the side of the ear going into the blade, and you can hurt the dog. So always make it safe to the outside. Also the inside, always go like this, like this, like this, like this, but never go like that. So, remember. When you are finished with clipping, just make sure you take the little hairs and then you scissor, and make sure the Yorkie has a very nice triangle ear. So the point is not to be rounded, the point can be pointed. For the elastic bands, I never take any risks. If you want to have a nice top knot and nice long hair, whatever you do, don't pluck it out or pull it out. I'm so used to this, I cut it out. When you cut it out, you don't damage the coat. So, and also when you cut it out, be very careful to take the elastic away from the coat before you cut, because sometimes you think you have the elastic band and you actually have a few hairs. But if you have to do that every day or every 2 days, by the time 3 months later you won't have any hair anymore. So the top knot bands, cut them out. Also the top knot actually needs to be done every day, and we use on puppies, you have different top knot bands. You have the medium. This actually means medium size, medium cut. And then you have the medium cut light. And the light means that it's thinner cut. And when it's thinner cut, it's very, very, very light. And it's very, very sensitive to break. But on puppies who are not used to the bands yet, it's much better to use them. Because when the puppy starts scratching and rolling over the carpet, trying to get rid of the band will break. And the hair will not break. So it's very, very important you don't use a very hard elastic, you use a light one. For the eyes we use the eye comb, and the eye comb is a fantastic tool, because when there's a little bit goo on the eyes, you just comb it and it stays in the comb. After you've done the eyes, please clean the eye comb every time with paper and disinfectant. And you can also do it with a toothbrush, so all the goo is out there and there's no bacteria growth. And then we're going to do the ears. I'm using the ear powder, and this makes it much easier to pluck the hair out. Just little bits at a time, and the ear powder will help to release the hair and have better grip. I'm also using the finger condoms. It's also for the grip, also for the hygiene, and afterwards I will use the tweezers. Yorkie ears and mini small dog ears needs to be free of hair. This Yorkie is now 5 months old and it's never been done before, and I'm doing a little bit at the time, small parts, but as you can see he's a fantastic temperament because it's so long, there's so much hair in there, and he's letting me do this. And now I'm preparing myself for doing the nails. The nails, I like to have a few tools ahead of time. You never know, if you have blood, you can, easily stop the blood. For stopping the blood, we have the stop bleed and a special pot with stop bleed powder, and we fill it and we push it so it's compact, and we put it aside together with some paper, and then we scissor the nails, or we cut the nails, and we go quite short because it's very uncomfortable for the dogs to have long nails. We cut the nails and then afterwards we file them to make sure they're nice and short. After clipping with the nail clippers, I very much like to use the nail file. It's an advantage to round off the nails because, we have the dogs on our lap and everywhere in our house, and I like the nails to be rounded with the file afterwards. You don't have to do very much because it goes very quickly and it's very easy. The only thing you have to do is, like, when you are using the clippers, you can put your thumb here and still use the clippers, and because you put your thumb on the dog, you have a rest. Let's do some washing. When I first saw this puppy about a month ago or 6 weeks ago, I advised the customer to wash it every week. So it's very good for the hair, it's very good for the coat with the good products, and it's very important for nurturing the coat every time. And as you can see, it's already very good, used to the water, and I'm going around the face. I'm very afraid to put water in the dog's nose, but if the water goes in the dog's eyes, it's not such a big problem as long as the pressure is not too high. So also here, now I'm going to start washing with the pure coat. I like puppies, and actually, on average, when there is time, I like to wash the face and the head apart from everything else. So I wash the head and I rinse it, and I don't have a chance of the shampoo stinging on the dog's eyes. And then I wash the body. So here you will see that I'm doing this. I'm gonna massage in the shampoo very well. Extra rubbing under the eyes, making sure all the goo is gone there, because there it can be really very dirty, full of bacteria. And also, as you can see, the Yorkie is licking, and I don't really like that very much. So also that's one of the reasons I like to get rid of the shampoo on the face and then wash the rest of the body without the dog having too much of the shampoo in him. Here I'm gonna rinse. As you can see, I put the water pressure all the way down, so it's not very hard. I'm trying not to go into the nose, although it's quite difficult by some times. Ooh. It's a very cute puppy. And now I'm putting the pressure even more down because I know I have to rinse the face and the moustache and around the eyes. Okay, sit down. I'm trying to make sure that the puppy understands when it sits still, there's nothing going to happen. But when it's all over the place, it's going to be very difficult for washing. And so I was a bit hard there because I needed the puppy to understand, and it really needed to sit down for me. So here we go. It's understanding. Okay, and now we can wet everything else and use the rest of the shampoo for the first washing with the pure coat. So for washing I have a good grip, and for me it's not only important to wash the coat but also the skin. A dog produces a lot of grease and talc, and you know it's very important to have a good grip so you also wash the skin very neatly. And I do this always twice. So now you're going to see me rinsing, and I rinse thoroughly, and then we're going to have the second shampoo. And there you go. He's already obedient. He's nicely sitting down, and he's such a sweetie. He's behaving so well. So cute. And the water is not heat, it's not hot. The water is not really lukewarm, but nice and warm. No warmer, let's say, than our body temperature. So the dog is, you know, not having any problems with the cold or too hot water. Especially not too hot. It's not very comfortable for the dog if you use hot. And now the second shampoo. I'm using the Pro Brightening. The Pro Brightening is a shampoo based on coconut oil. It's a very good washing shampoo. It's a soft shampoo. It's a shampoo that lathers up very nicely. It makes the colors come out, and the Pro Brightening shampoo is one of my favorite shampoos to use. It also has a nice smell to it. It's just a very good shampoo. Here I'm massaging the ears and the beard and around the eyes again and between the eyes. I'm being very careful not to have shampoo in the eyes, and after I've washed the head I'm going to rinse the head immediately. As you can see, Luan's second wash, it's already better, because when I asked Luan to sit down it was easier and it stayed down, and now the pressure of the water is very thin, and it's trusting me not to have any water in the nose. So here you go. What a sweet dog. It's so cute. So behaved for 5 months old. I think the owners did very well in preparing the dog when I asked them to wash it every week and put it on a table to be brushed. I think it's fantastic what they did, because you know you can't expect the dog to just suddenly let all this happen if they haven't been used to any handling. So it's very, very important when you have a new puppy to wash it once a week, and to have it used to the dryer and the towel and the brushing and the nails, and you know, and the owner is actually the first point to get the dog used to it. And then for the rest of the dog's life it's gonna be okay with washing and drying, and it's gonna be easy for everybody and also for the dog. So it's very advisable that you get your dog used to all these handlings. I'm not afraid of using a lot of shampoo to have a good lather. It's very important to dilute and to just have enough water and enough shampoo. You have a good lather and it's nicely slippy, and it's only this way that you will get rid of all the dirt. We also have to remember that dogs are living on the floor much more than we do. So, you know, they get dirtier much easier, much quicker. I also like to rinse all the shampoo out, and you can see this when you are rinsing by when you go over the dog's back. It's like stopping, like it's like, sometimes there's a saying in English, squeaky clean. Well, when it squeaks when you go over it, it means that all the shampoo is gone. Here I'm using the Showtech conditioning mask, and this thick mask is a very good nutrition for the skin and for the coat as well. And you just take it in your hands and put it on. I like to use a lot because then I have the feeling it penetrates good in the hair and the skin and the coat. And I also like it when it stays on the coat for 5 to 10 minutes. Of course, when we do that, we just put as much conditioner on the coat as possible, and then we either put a towel on the dog to avoid the dog gets cold, or we use a dry dude. This is a dry dude, a Showtech dry dude, and Luan is going to stay like this for 5 or 10 minutes, and then give it a thorough rinse. Again, here I'm going to try to rinse all the conditioner out. I'm not going to leave anything in there. Luan is really behaving very nicely. What a sweetie. After the bath, I'm very fond of a chamois. Showtech has the magic towel, and this is like a chamois, and when the dog just comes out of the bath, I like it very much because this absorbs so much water. Just go over, put it on the dog and wring it, and you will see how much water it absorbs. And then you have to use much less towels. After the chamois, I will use a towel, and then I'm gonna try to get Luan used to the dryer. I won't do very much for the first time, and not to distress Luan too much. But I do like to get dogs used to the dryers as much as possible. So I did a little bit here, and after a little bit, before Luan gets all stressed, I'm just going to use the normal stand dryer. I like to use the dryer because this dryer doesn't only have like drying, it blows away the water, but it's so strong it also like brushes, so it opens up the coat and you have much less work with the brush then. Okay, after doing a bit, I'm going to use the stand dryer, and the stand dryer I don't put on hot because the area was quite hot, and it's really not necessary to put it on hot. It's different, must you use the stand dryer in a very cold place where the temperature is very cold. In that case you can, but I always am afraid of hot air because hot air dries the coat out, it gives you static and dries your hands out as well, and I'm very fond of drying dogs on warm air. As you can see here, I'm using again the pin brush. I like the pin brush very much because it's very flexible and it doesn't hurt the coat. And when you have a mat, you can use a slicker brush as well. But if you can do it with a pin brush, it's advisable. You will break less coat with a pin brush than with a slicker brush. As you can see here, I had there a little knot and I'm using a small slicker brush. Here as well, at the front feet, there was a little mat. So as soon as the mat is gone, I will continue with the pin brush. I'm actually never going to forget my first teacher. When I went learning how to groom dogs, I was 14 years old, and my teacher gave me a pin brush, and I had to demat a full dog with a pin brush. And every hair was very important. It was a poodle, a show poodle in continental clip, and it took me hours. But I had to use the pin brush, so I've never forgotten still my first teacher, and I always respect the coat very much. Okay, here you see me making a movement which is very bad. It's a bad movement, it's just to show you, because also with the slicker or the pin brush, you are supposed to just brush at the same place, and you can't do that with your brush. If you do that, first of all, you will push the points of your pin or slicker brush in the dog's skin. You will hurt the skin, and also the brush will break eventually. So when you use the pin brush, just go over the dog without twisting it. Luan is dried, and first of all we're gonna get rid of the hair in front of the eyes, so the top knot. When I'm doing the top knot, I like to use the eye comb, because you can use it for back combing as well. And when you want to have a very nice top knot, you need like to have a line, and then in front of the line you back comb a bit, and then you take the next line and you again back comb a bit. And you can do little parts at the time, you can take your time, but when you do back comb a bit, you will have a very nice high bally top knot, which is very nice. Many people say not back combing but teasing, so that's exactly here what I'm doing. I think back combing is more used in the dog world, but it's also possible it's teasing. And I do have to excuse me, because I'm not English. I'm doing my best to speak English, but I'm not really English. I'm from Belgium. Okay, now the back combing is finished, and with the point of my comb I'm going to try to make a nice line from the eye towards the ears. And as it's a puppy, I can't go too far backwards, because otherwise the front will have too much hairs coming out. Voila. And also the other side. And then I'm going to try to get the front in as much as possible. And then the rubber band, which is a light, medium size, light, I'm going to have 3 times around. 1 and 2 and 3. Okay. And now I'm just going to put the band a little bit more upwards or backwards, shall I say. And then I'm going to try to find a hair in the middle of the dot, and when I have the hair, I'm going to take the band and push it forwards, and that's going to make a nice top knot. And the little hair which is sticking out, you can use some hairspray, not spray it on the dog, but in a bowl or in a little pot on your finger, and then comb it and do it nicely. I think Luan is quite shiny. I think Luan is going to be very happy to go back to its parents. For doing the line, I'm using the Yento needle comb, as also I used it for making the top knot. It's a very easy comb, but you can also do it with whatever pin comb you have. Okay, let's do some scissoring feet. The only thing you have to think about when you are scissoring Yorkie feet, as if you would see the Yorkie without hair, you wouldn't see round feet, you would see triangle feet. So the most important bit when you are scissoring the Yorkie feet is do the front, and don't follow the feet all the way around, but just think about a round foot. Do the front, eventually do the back, and then scissor from the front to the back in a round way. It's the only thing which is very important. Also for the back feet. So do the front, cut the front short, do the back, and then connect both the front to the end to the back, so the foot is round. And don't follow the foot with the scissor. Just think round. So here we go, Luan is finished. You can still see the pictures here of the finished work. was Luan. I enjoyed grooming Luan very much. Thank you for watching. If you like the video, you can give it a thumbs up. If you have any questions, we are very happy to answer them. Just write your questions down below. And see you in the next video.